You walk into a room full of people you have never met. Within a fraction of a second, before a single word is spoken, your brain has already decided who to trust, who to avoid, who might hurt you. You didn't choose this. You didn't even notice it happening. But the real answer to why you do this is far stranger than instinct or gut feeling. It is a survival system so old that it predates language itself, still running quietly under everything you do. Think about the last time you met a stranger, maybe at a coffee shop, maybe in a job interview. Your brain made a judgment about them almost instantly, friendly or threatening, competent or careless, trustworthy or not. You probably felt like you were reading their personality. You weren't. You were reading their face the way your ancestors read the edge of a forest, scanning for danger before danger had a chance to scan for you. In 2006, psychologist Alexander Todorov at Princeton ran an experiment that unsettled an entire field. He showed people photographs of unfamiliar faces for just 1/10 of a second. A blink, barely registered. And yet participants confidently rated each face on trustworthiness, competence, and aggression. The exposure time was too short for conscious reasoning. There was no time to think. There was only time to feel. And somehow, that feeling was consistent across almost everyone who looked. Why would a brain need to judge a stranger that fast? Because for most of human history, a stranger wasn't a coworker or a barista. A stranger was a variable, an unknown group encountering another unknown group in open, undefended land. No police, no treaties, no way to check a reputation before it was too late. The tribes and small bands your ancestors lived in for hundreds of thousands of years survived by making one decision correctly, over and over again. Approach or retreat, trust or flee. That decision had to be fast, fatally fast if you got it wrong. Evolutionary psychologists call this a threat detection bias, and it didn't evolve in isolation. It evolved alongside another system just as old, one built for connection rather than defense. Your body doesn't just prepare you to fear strangers, it also prepares you to bond with them, remarkably quickly, under the right conditions. Neuroeconomist Paul Zak spent years studying a hormone called oxytocin, sometimes nicknamed the trust molecule. In his research, strangers who were given a dose of oxytocin through a nasal spray became measurably more willing to hand money to someone they had never met, in a simple economic trust game. No memory of the person, no shared history, just a chemical shift, and suddenly a stranger felt closer to family. Your ancestors needed both systems running at once. Wariness, to avoid the tribe that might raid your camp at night. Bonding, to form the alliances that let small, vulnerable groups merge into something stronger. A family of 30 people cannot survive an ice age alone. A hostile world outside your firelight made trust dangerous, but an unpredictable world also made trust necessary. Your nervous system had to hold both truths at the same time and somehow still decide in an instant which one applied to the person standing in front of you. This is where faces come in. The human face carries an extraordinary amount of information, more than almost any other visual signal in nature. Symmetry can hint at health. Expression can hint at intention. Even subtle things, like the angle of the eyebrows or the width of the jaw, get processed by ancient neural circuitry before your conscious mind even catches up. Psychologist Nalini Ambady, in her research on what she called thin slicing, found that people could accurately predict outcomes as significant as a teacher's end-of-semester evaluations or a doctor's risk of being sued just from watching a few seconds of silent video. No dialogue, no context. Just posture, expression, and movement. That is not a coincidence. That is a brain running a very old subroutine, one built to extract survival-relevant information from bodies and faces long before humans had words to describe what they were seeing. Here is the strange part. You still do this constantly, and it still feels like intuition rather than instinct. You call it a gut feeling about a new coworker. You call it a vibe from a first date. You call it trusting your instincts in a business meeting. But underneath the modern language, it is the same ancient pattern-matching machine, repurposed for a world your ancestors never could have imagined. A world of video calls, dating apps, online reviews, and profile photos. A world where you now judge strangers you will never physically stand in front of. And your brain does not know the difference. It reacts to a photograph the same way it once reacted to a figure at the edge of a clearing. It reacts to a hesitant tone of voice in a phone call the same way it once reacted to a hesitant approach from an unfamiliar hunter. The stimulus has changed. The wiring underneath it has not. This creates a strange kind of mismatch in modern life. You might instinctively distrust someone simply because their resting facial expression looks tense, even though tension might just be exhaustion, or habit, or nothing at all. You might instantly warm to someone because their face resembles, in some small way, a person who was kind to you long ago. None of this is rational. All of it is ancient. Researchers have found that this snap judgment tends to stick too. Todorov's later studies showed that first impressions formed from a face, even after only a brief glance, strongly predicted how people would later evaluate that same person after actually getting to know them. The fast judgment doesn't just happen and disappear. It quietly shapes everything that comes after it. Like a filter your conscious mind never notices it's looking through. So what does this mean for you, standing in a room full of strangers? It means the flicker of unease you feel meeting someone new is not weakness, and it is not paranoia. It is a message from deep in your evolutionary past, one that once meant the difference between a peaceful trade and a fatal ambush. It means the instant warmth you feel toward another stranger is not naivety either. It is the same old bonding system, still trying to build alliances the way it did when your survival depended on how many people would stand beside you at your back. You are not choosing who to trust the way you think you are. You are running a program built over hundreds of thousands of years, compressed into a fraction of a second, dressed up in modern language like chemistry, vibe, or first impression. And maybe that's the real reframe here. The next time a stranger's face makes you feel something you can't quite explain, remember what that feeling actually is. It's not random. It's not modern. It's the oldest decision your brain ever learned how to make, still quietly protecting you, still quietly trying to help you belong every single time you meet someone new.